Today we're going to do a tutorial on a one-length haircut. We're going to start with our basic 4 quadrants, make it simple and practical, and using subsections that are horizontal. So let's begin. So I'm going to bring her parting all the way to the front middle part, bringing it all the way down to the nape. After I'm done with that, I'm going to make sure that I find her crown area. Her crown area is right about the top, bringing a radial down all the way to her ear. Doing the same thing up by the crown area, bringing it down to her ear. And now we're going to move on to horizontal subsections. And at this point, I'm going to move her head forward. Of course, on a real client, it would be a little bit different, but I'm just going to start with tilting her head forward. This is going to prevent us from having any graduation. And I'm going to do subsections about 1/2 inch. You can do about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, depending on the density of your client's hair. I'm going to start with about a good inch. That to me right there is about a good inch. Doing the same thing on the other side. Having clean subsections are important so that way you don't get those extra little hairs coming down as you're cutting hair. All right, so our client's head is tilted forward. This is going to cause to where we're not going to give her any graduation. And I'm going to start in the middle, working my way to the left, and then coming back to the right, always making sure that I'm standing in front of my work. So here we go. I'm going to cut about a good inch, making sure that I am not cutting past that second knuckle. Working again in front of my work. I'll do the same thing on this side, making sure I stand in front of my work. And now that I have my good first subsection, and I'm going to go up about a good 1/2 inch. And the reason why I'm doing this, the 1/2 inch now, switching it up a little bit, is because now I want to be able to see my previous guide, right? If I go too thick of a subsection, what's going to happen, I'm not going to see my guide, and then I'm going to get lost. And again, just making sure that your partings are nice and clean. Yep, I can see my previous guideline. Again, standing in front of my work here. I can see it nice and clean. And again, I'm going to do another 1/2 inch The goal is to make sure that I can still see my previous guide, depending on your client's density of the hair. There is many ways to do certain things. This is what works for me. It's simple, it's practical, and I'm able to get it done pretty straightforward. Again, I'm still standing right in front of my work. And because she is a mannequin, now she's got hair where I can see right through my hand, right? Right through the hair. So I'm going to bring the rest of her hair down. If this was a real person with much thicker hair, I would continue doing my subsections until I get to the very top. But in this case, I think I could pull it off and I can still see where I'm at. And that's just cutting very little at the bottom. Still with her head tilting forward. Not cutting, almost did it, past that knuckle. Just making sure I'm getting all those little scragglers out. Okay. So looking good. Again, I'm going to do the other side. If this was an actual client in your chair and she had much thicker hair, I would continue using my horizontal subsections until I get to the very top. I can see my previous guideline perfectly fine. I'm just going to continue cutting, making sure I don't cut past that second knuckle. And there's the back. I think it looks great, nice and even. And you can always check it by going down and making sure that that looks good to you. At this point, you can ask your customer to bring their head, their chin back up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another good 1/2 inch subsection, making sure it's horizontal. I'm going to comb her hair down. Technically, at this point, she would actually have shoulders. So I'm going to go all around. You can do that. Or when you do the one length, you can bring it back all the way back, cutting behind her shoulder. And when you're finished with that, you would just bring it forward and you'd have to go in to make sure that it looks even in the front. But in this case, I'm just going to cut and follow my work all around. Can't go wrong with that. Standing again in front of my work. And I'm grabbing my previous guide from the back as a guide to work my way forward. And I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. Using a good inch subsection that's horizontal. And this is what I mean. I'm going to grab my previous guide and use it to connect it forward. Still standing in front of my work. Making sure I'm not continuing cutting past that knuckle. Using another inch subsection. She's got finer hair, so it makes it to where I know I'm going to be able to see my previous guide. And now I'm going to comb her hair down. I'm going to use my guide. I see it perfectly fine. My previous guide feels good when you can see it because you know you're doing something right. This is where we're at. Now I'm going to do another subsection going horizontally, about another good inch. Standing right in front of your work. And I'm not cutting past that second knuckle. Making sure she's nice and even, looks good. I'm happy with that. And of course, on a real person, you would be in front of the mirror where you can feel and make sure that you can see it better. In this case, it's a little different, but I'm gonna bring the rest of her hair down, combing it down completely. And I'm gonna finish this side, still standing in front of my work. And her head is now at this point, right? Once we get to the sides, her head is tilt up, back to normal. Standing in front of my work, right? Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Ooh, guess a red little string came out of her hair. It's still attached. Again, standing in front of my work here. I can see my previous guide. It looks great. And there it is. She is all finished and she's got a one length. And now I am going to dry her hair and that way we can see where we're at. What I like to do actually before I begin is to dry her hair about a good 80% and then try to smooth it down with a paddle brush or even a round brush. It's up to you. Deborah is now completely finished. You can always use some hair product and smooth her out with a flat iron or do many different various stuff with her. But this is just our basic one length tutorial. Thank you for watching.